finally say better than Jordan. He's going to be that first.
This kid is different. He's unguardable, and you can't score on him. I've seen Wemby make plays that I haven't seen anybody else make in the history of the game.
Well, he scares you. He's almost like the big kid where you have to check his birth certificate to see if he's really that age.
It is so fucking tiring guarding.
He's the best player in the world.
There's hype, and then there's something in an entirely different category. Because what NBA legends are saying about Victor Wembanyama right now doesn't sound like ordinary praise anymore. It sounds like the league is watching the early chapters of a future all-time great story being written in real time. And the most striking part? He's still only just getting started.
He is the first perfect big man that's ever created. Can shoot free throws, play defense, play offense. He's a great team player. And for me, in a long time, he's a joy to watch. I don't usually, enjoy the big man, how they play now, but he plays it so perfectly. I actually accept the way he plays. I'm seeing toughness. I'm seeing adjustment. And in 2 years, he will be right next to Jokic as the best big in the league. Right now, he's number 2, but not far behind.
We're talking about a 7-foot...
We're talking about a 7'4" player who moves with the fluidity of a guard, shoots with the precision of a wing, anchors the paint like one of the greatest defenders the game has ever seen, and somehow keeps evolving his game every few months.
It's a battle with the big fella. Man, I must say, there's still nothing that compares to battling with the best. I felt like I was chasing around Steph Curry at times. Because if you put a big on him, your standard big, there's no fucking way they can keep up.
Nuggets back within 5. Toss it up! Area 51! Timeout Denver!
It is so fucking tiring guarding. Like the moment you go to relax, the possession's over. With Wemby, if you relax for 1 second, once he raised up to shoot, you no longer can affect the shot. Man, it was a challenge guarding him because you're on every single second.
That alone would already sound extraordinary. But then you hear what actual NBA players and legends are saying after going up against him, and suddenly the hype stops feeling like hype at all. One NBA player put it bluntly. He'd seen Wembanyama make plays that he'd never seen anyone else make in the history of the game. Sit with that for a moment. Not since LeBron, not since Jordan, in the entire history of the game.
Be challenged by the best. I like to challenge the best. And it was fun as hell to compete against the young fella at that level. We had our moment. I know everybody spoke about the dunk.
NBA defensive. It's into Wembanyama with a jackhammer. Hawks the rim. Kessler. Wembanyama over Green, off balance and off the rim.
When I blocked his shot, I looked at him like, gave him a crazy look, like, yeah, motherfucker. And he was like, oh, what? You too small. So I walk up to him, I said, you little motherfucker. He's like, what? I'm too little, all right. I said, you fucking scared of me. He's like, what? I ain't fucking scared. I'm not scared of you. All right, watch this. That whole conversation happened walking from one block to the other block, and then we start fighting for position. I go fight for the position, he fight for the position, and he does this spin. But when he spin, he was like still in place. He took one step and he's in front of the rim, catching the lob with the left. I thought I could get the lob when I saw it go up. I had no chance at getting it. Thought Jimmy could get the lob from the backside. He had no chance at getting it. The only person that had a chance to get the lob was the guy who caught the lob, Wemby. I'm so fucking happy they called the foul on the floor.
And honestly, just looking at him tells you everything you need to know. The eye test alone is enough to make you stop and reconsider everything you thought you understood about what a basketball player could be. With most young talents entering this league, the limitations are not difficult to identify. Some of them can fill up a stat sheet, but disappear when the defensive assignment gets serious. Some rely entirely on physical advantages that stop working the moment they face someone equally athletic. Some put up impressive individual numbers while the team around them somehow keeps losing. The weaknesses are usually there. You just have to look for them. With Victor Wembanyama, the experience of watching him develop has been something entirely different. Every few months, something that looked like a potential limitation simply disappears. Gone, as if it was never really there to begin with. And that pattern is what has veterans and former players genuinely struggling to find the right words when his name comes up in conversation. One legend described the feeling of watching him as something close to fear. And not the kind of fear that comes from facing someone physically imposing. The unsettling part, according to that voice, is that Wembanyama already carries himself with the composure and command of a player who has been doing this for 15 years. And then came the statement that shifted the entire conversation into a different register entirely. One respected and deeply credible voice in the game said plainly that this is the player people will eventually point to when they say someone surpassed Michael Jordan. Read that again. Not that he might challenge Jordan's legacy somewhere down the road, that he will eventually be cited as the player who actually surpassed him. That is not the kind of thing former players say casually. Those are people who spent decades watching Jordan operate at the highest level, who have fiercely defended that legacy in every debate about all-time rankings, and they are opening the door to this conversation now, while Wembanyama is still in the early stages of his career. Others who have weighed in have been somewhat more measured, placing him in a category reminiscent of a young Giannis, still raw in certain areas.
What separates him from every oversized talent this league has seen across its entire history is the absence of an obvious ceiling. When a player that tall enters the league, the conventional wisdom has always been that the size comes with trade-offs: mobility, coordination, touch around the basket, ability to function away from it. With Wembanyama, every time an analyst or a defender identifies something that looks like it could be exploited, he goes away and comes back having addressed it. The ceiling keeps moving every time someone thinks they have found it. One player described what it feels like to guard him as an exercise in complete and total concentration from the moment the ball is inbounded. A single lapse in focus, a half second of distraction, and the possession has already slipped away before you can recover. And when he rises into a shooting motion, the contest is effectively over, because there is no defender in this league with the length or the timing to get a hand near his release point. No late rotation closes that out. No scrambling recovery makes it a difficult shot. He simply rises above every human attempt to bother him, and the ball goes in. Veterans who described this experience also acknowledged, somewhat reluctantly, that there was something genuinely compelling about the challenge of it. Every single possession demanded a level of attention and precision they rarely had to bring to any other assignment. That kind of respect from elite competitors is not something given freely. It is earned. And then the trash talk stories began circulating, which is where you start to understand something about his competitive makeup that the highlights alone do not fully capture. One player recounted a specific moment that says everything about how Wembanyama is wired. After recording a block on him, the defender followed. The traditional center was built to dominate near the basket, collect rebounds, set screens, and occasionally contribute a mid-range shot when the defense gave it to him. Wembanyama does all of that while simultaneously handling the ball in open space, stepping back for deep threes off the dribble, attacking closeouts, and eliminating a staggering amount of defensive territory on the other end of the floor. He is not fitting into the position as it has historically existed. He is expanding what the position is allowed to be. One veteran broke down the defensive preparation required to guard him in very practical terms. Your pickup point cannot be at the three-point line. It has to be at half court. You have to do all of your work early, before he has a chance to build any momentum, because once he gets going, there is no clean answer. And even with a thorough game plan, executing it against someone with his combination of length, coordination, and finishing ability at the rim and away from it is a problem without a solution that feels good. That veteran acknowledged directly and without hesitation that Wembanyama would represent a genuinely difficult matchup for any defender across any era of this league's history, not just today, any era. And the defensive impact he creates may honestly be the most disorienting element for teams that have to face him regularly. Layups that feel completely automatic against every other center in the league get rushed and altered in his vicinity. Hook shots get released awkwardly, earlier than intended, at angles that reduce their efficiency. Guards stop attacking the paint the moment he sets himself in position to receive them. That kind of effect, where the threat alone changes what offensive players are willing to attempt, is something that only the truly special defenders have ever generated. It is a gravitational pull on the behavior of everyone else on the floor, and it does not require him to make a single play to be felt. Multiple NBA legends have made the point that what makes all of this even striking is the fact that we are not looking at the finished product. We are not watching Victor Wembanyama at his peak. One former player laid out a specific timeline, suggesting that within 2 years, Wembanyama could be standing alongside Nikola Jokic as the best big man playing basketball on the planet. Not eventually, not in some distant hypothetical future. 2 years. That is how quickly the respect from people who have seen everything this league has to offer is accumulating around him. And here's the part that should genuinely concern every other team in the league. There are still visible areas of his game that look unfinished. He is still adding strength to his frame, still sharpening his angles on both ends, still learning to punish double teams with the consistency that will eventually become automatic, still adapting to the physical and mental toll of an 82-game season at the highest level of the sport, which means the version of Victor Wembanyama that exists right now, the one drawing Michael Jordan comparisons from people who have spent their lives protecting Jordan's legacy, could realistically be one of the least developed versions of this player that anyone will ever see. That is a genuinely difficult thing to sit with when you think about it carefully. If this is what the conversation sounds like while he's still growing, while the strength is still developing and the angles are still being refined, what does this player look like when everything has finally come together completely? So the question that is sitting in the back of every serious basketball conversation right now is simply this: are we in the early chapters of watching the greatest basketball player who has ever lived? Because the people who have given their lives to this game, the ones who have seen everything worth seeing across the entire history of this sport, are sounding more and more convinced that the answer to that question is yes, and they sound more convinced of it with every single game he plays.